What if I told you that the most effective way to learn a language is to throw away your textbooks, stop memorizing vocabulary, and not speak a single word for months? Well, actually, I found someone who did it and succeeded. Hi everyone and welcome. Today I have something really incredibly special for you. We are about to hear from a man who is, in my opinion, a living piece of language learning history. His name is Marc, and in the 80s he was one of the first students of the legendary AUA School in Thailand. There he learned Thai, a complex tonal language, using a revolutionary method which we now know as ALG, Automatic Language Growth. It's the learn like a baby method, where you acquire language purely through listening and understanding. This is a first-hand account from someone who has walked the path. It's a powerful source of motivation, and that shows that this natural process actually works. And here's the most exciting part. After decades, now Marc is using the same principles to learn Russian. So that's logical that he's here on Comprehensible Russian channel. I have a very special request for you. Marc's experience is a unique resource and a very rare opportunity. So as you listen to his story, I would like you to think about questions you have and leave all those questions in the comments below this video. So if I will see that there are enough thoughtful questions in the comments, and I will see that you have interest in the theme, I will try my best to arrange a second meeting with Marc, a special Q&A session where he will answer all your questions. Let's get to the interview. Very nice to meet you. Thank you for contacting me.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. So, I have a story to tell about, ALG. I never heard the term before you mentioned it. When I began, it was the natural approach. I love to tell this story of me learning a foreign language through the natural approach, which is how I knew it to be designated. So just briefly, I'll try briefly. In 1986, I accidentally ended up, I was traveling, I was young, and I ended up in Thailand. And yeah, it was an amazing experience, and everybody was speaking Thai, and it sounded so beautiful. So naturally, I wanted to learn, some Thai. And of course, I was with foreigners, and they could speak Thai. I thought they could speak Thai, but as it turned out, their Thai was really, really bad. I didn't know that until later, when I actually got in school and knew what Thai should sound like. But I went to the American Alumni University, and that's where these foreigners were studying with the traditional approach to language learning. And the very first day I met Marvin Brown. He was already in his 60s by then, and he had been in Thailand for 30 years at that time. So he told me that he would prefer if I entered the natural approach program instead of the traditional approach. I asked him why, and he said, well, I've been in Thailand 30 years. I've been studying Thai for 30 years. And still Thai people say to me when I speak, what? What did you say? So he was angry and frustrated that he never was able to master the pronunciation. He had plenty of knowledge, but his pronunciation was terrible compared to most people anyway. So he told me about this new program that he was just started some time earlier that year. And all it consisted of was the students listening to 3 graduate students speaking. And he said he had some rules that the students must follow, which were, of course, no studying, no questions, no taking notes, just letting the words pass by you and not trying to understand. So I said, yeah, that sounds too easy. And he said, if you think it's easy, we'll find out. So yeah, I agreed, and I entered the class. And it was just like that. The teachers, yeah, they were very visual, and they spoke with very clear pronunciation and diction, and spoke slowly, just like you. And in the beginning, the first week or so, the students, it was a new class, all the students were looking at each other and saying, wow, they didn't understand what was being said. But after about 2 weeks, everybody realized that they did understand some of the words and some of the meaning that these 3 graduate students were speaking in front of the class. So it was very convincing early on that something was happening. We didn't know exactly what, but it gave us some confidence. And then after 30 days, my first course was 30 days. I think it was, 2 or 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. Yeah, the level of understanding really increased dramatically, even though we couldn't pronounce words or really, or speak, of course. But we did start to understand a lot just by listening. So at that time, I had to leave. I went back to America, and I worked, for another year, and then I came back to Thailand the following year. I immediately enrolled in the second class. And what I found out was that I retained everything from the first class, that even though I was away 1 year and I didn't hear any Thai being spoken, I didn't try to practice or anything. And of course, we didn't have computers or cell phones, so there was no way for me to listen to Thai even. But I found that, I retained the knowledge that I had gained the previous year. So then I just continued taking classes over the next, about 3 or 4 years. Sometimes I would be there for a couple months. I was also traveling, and I would come back and enter into a class. So after about, 700 hours total, I was able to understand all the basic things. I could ask for directions or talk about food, or even be personal a little bit with someone about their family or something like that. So it was a really, really good experience. Also around that time, I met a woman, and who later had a child, and I brought them to America in 1995. My daughter, when she arrived in America, she was 3.5 years old. She didn't speak any English. And she went to school that year. And within 1 year, she had a good command of the language. And she spoke only Thai when she came, but she actually surpassed her mother's English, after only 1 year in school. So anyway, that's how I became proficient, somewhat proficient at the Thai language. And as I mentioned, it's a tonal language, 5 tones, and I would think it's almost impossible to remember the tones. I mean, I guess someone has the ability to do it, but many of the words sound exactly the same. It's just a little bit different tone. So anyway, I never had any problem when I went back to Thailand. I did many times and spent time with my wife's family. And every couple of years we went, sometimes for some extended periods. And I could talk to all her family and relatives. And I never had any problem with that. So I was convinced that that was the only way to learn a language. And but then I was into my career and working. I didn't have time to learn another language. I always wanted to, and I always thought about it, but I just didn't have the time for it. You know what it's like working and a family,
Yes.
and we only have so much time. So a couple of years ago, I retired after working 50 years, if you could believe it. Yeah, it'll happen to you also. But so I decided, I want to learn. I have time now to learn. But I forgot a lot of the story I just told you. And I forgot like the method, and I knew the basics of how, I should be learning. So I started listening to the Russian language. I just started searching on YouTube, and I found some recordings of basically vocabulary and numbers, things like that. And I just started listening. So I spent the last couple years doing that, listening just to vocabulary. And I didn't try to practice it. I didn't try to do anything except, absorb the sound. And after hundreds of hours, I became very familiar with a lot of words in the Russian language. So familiar that, when I heard the words over and over again, I knew, I had a feeling like, I know that word, even though I didn't know the meaning, but I was comfortable with it. And what was most important was that the recordings I listened to, the voices were very clear and distinct. I rejected, hundreds of different YouTube channels because I didn't like the way they sounded. I got a feeling for what was correct. Then I started listening to different presenters like yourself to try to gain a little more, familiarity with the language. And again, I was rejecting lots and lots of people who said they could teach Russian or anything like that. A few months ago, I came upon Sergey from Russia from afar, and I started listening to him. It was it was really different than most people I listened to. For a little while, I you started to appear on his talks back and forth, and yeah, I was really impressed by your presentation and how you spoke so slowly, and it reminded me of how I originally learned many years ago. So I felt comfortable, and then I looked a little bit further and saw your website. I started watching your videos, your older videos, the ones in the beginning, and I still really don't have the proper format for how I should approach learning from you, but yeah, I'm sure in time I'll figure it out. I know what the basic premise is, which is, don't try too hard, and just listen, and little by little, things will come into focus. In the meantime, I had an opportunity to find. I tried to find like a personal tutor that I wanted to explain how I should be taught, but almost no one understands the concept, especially if they're not a language person per se. So still, I did find someone. I found an older woman. She's 93. She speaks Russian. She was born in Siberia. Kursk, I think the name of the city is. And Kursk, yes. And she was happy to listen to me and spend some time, a couple hours each day with me. So, but again, she doesn't really understand, the process that I want. So she likes to try to get me to repeat things, which I resist. And I got some props. I have some some children's books about different things that I'll have her read the caption under the pictures and all. I think in time I can teach her how to teach me.
Marc, can I ask you more questions about your experience with Thai?
Yeah, sure.
Right? I'm really interested. And I've just read the book, the autobiography of James Marvin Brown. So it's really fresh in my memory. And I understand that when you arrived to Thailand, the school was just opened. It was really
Yes.
like maybe the second year of I think they had one experimental year before, and then they started. I guess it was exactly in 1986. They would have the first full school year of studies, and they still had a choice between structural studying and natural approach. So you met Dr. Marvin Brown, right? And
yes,
at this moment, he had been learning Thai for about 20 years at least, I guess.
He was in Thailand for 30 years already.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And he studied Thai in the US with the Army method, which insists on lots of speaking training, pronunciation training, and then going to the country and immerse in the language in the country. So he had hours or hundreds of hours of training in the US, and then 30 years of living and real immersion in the country. And he still told you that he could not really speak that well as he wanted, right?
Well, he could speak well, but his pronunciation
Mm,
was not good. That's what he was unhappy about, the
mm,
pronunciation. And when I met him, you're correct. There was like an experimental year, and when I started my classes, I think it was about 8 or 9 months. They were teaching uh, classes with the natural approach when I
mm,
began. So yeah, he told me that uh, he 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 posed a he made a statement. He said, why does that baby, he was speaking, yeah, metaphorically, why does that baby end up speaking perfectly? Like everybody understands, he doesn't make mistakes, it's just perfect and it just comes out, right? And he said it's because he listened to his mother and father, and over a period of a couple of years, yeah, it got in his brain, and he doesn't have to think about it. And that's how I want to teach you, is so that when you speak, you're not thinking about what you're going to say at all. It's going to come out automatically, right?
mhm.
And yeah, I
Did
didn't
that
really,
happen?
yeah, it did happen eventually, but I didn't really understand it at that moment. But eventually, yeah, later, after some hundreds and hundreds of hours, and I was with my wife or daughter, or I was in Thailand, and I wanted to say something. I never thought about how to say it. I just said it like I'm saying it to you right now. Yeah, my
Mm.
brain just put it out there. So, but that was his point, that at some point it becomes automatic, it's ingrained. And that's how he wanted to teach people, so
Mhm.
that they would end up like that. And
Right.
yeah, I guess it was, a concept that it's not really easy to understand, even if somebody explains it to you without it actually happening.
Right.
So, an important rule he had was he didn't want anybody to speak. All right.
Hmm.
In the beginning, he said, you have to wait at least 6 months, or, but I'd prefer if you wait 1 year before you say anything. Right.
But people still spoke.
Yeah, of course, they didn't really speak in class, but if they were out of class, they were cheating.
Hmm.
And I tried to adhere to his instruction. So a lot of times I was out, with other foreigners in the city in Bangkok. It was fantastic. There was a lot of uh, opportunities for conversation, and yeah, I would consciously try to refrain from speaking.
Hmm.
But it wasn't hard because I was listening to the other people speaking. Yeah, even to me, it sounded terrible.
Hmm.
So, it, particularly a couple of people I knew who had studied the traditional approach at AUA, I think for almost 2 years, uh, they sounded really bad. All right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that helped me try to follow Dr. Brown's rule
Hmm. I
about not
see.
speaking. And
I
I'll tell
know that he had a lot of difficulties to set this rule, and like just people did not listen to him and still spoke, and they didn't care. They just wanted the result, the faster the better. And by the way, is it the same time, a period of time when David Long was studying as well? Do you know him?
yeah, I know David Long. In fact, David Long was a student with me. We were
Right.
in class together. So
Oh.
he started studying the natural approach the same time I did. You
Mhm.
know, there was probably maybe 10 students in that class, my first class. And yeah, David, he was one of those students. He just
Mhm.
happened to be at the school, you know, like I was, right? Later, of course, he became the director.
Mhm.
I didn't know that at the time, but when I was on a trip to Thailand, I think in, yeah, around 2000 or something like that, yeah, I went to the new AUA place. I wanted to maybe take a refresher natural approach course. And they said, oh, you have to speak to, you know, the director. And then I went there and it was David. Yeah, he remembered me.
That's nice.
And I remembered him, you know. But in that original class that we started together in, um, there were students from Korea and Japan, and
Mhm.
I think even China, um, and certainly one or two Germans and a Danish guy. So some of them didn't speak English,
Mhm.
and yeah, I didn't speak Danish or you know Korean. But after you know over the course of the next couple of years, some of those students stayed and came back at different times for, and we could speak to each other in Thai,
Mhm. That's
but not
nice.
our native language. You
Mhm.
know, so that it was fun. Um, One other thing I'll tell you a quick story about Dr. Brown was that this thing about not speaking. Yeah, he was always, you know, he was always insistent upon that. And I think maybe in my second or third time back over a period of years, he told me that he started studying Mandarin, Chinese. Two of the graduate students who taught me originally, yeah, they could speak Chinese. They were
Mhm.
Thai Chinese. And so Dr. Brown would have them stay after school, and two of them were speaking Mandarin to him. And so, in other words, he was going to try it again, uh, but in Chinese this time because, yeah, Thai he already, you know,
Damaged.
somewhat failed. Yeah, yeah, damaged exactly. So I saw him. He told me, he says, "Yeah, I'm listening to Chinese, you know, just an hour a day now, or maybe sometimes 2 hours, and you know, I'll let you know how it goes." And yeah, I came back a year later, and I asked him, you know, what about the Mandarin, the Chinese? You know, he said, "Listen, it's been 1 year, and I haven't said one word yet."
Sorry. So well, this I know from the book, not from life, but he wrote that he studied Chinese for 8 years in total. But he said that he failed for one reason. And actually, this
Ah,
failure, yes, this failure gave him another hint to improve the method. Because at the beginning of the school, he had those, as he calls it, the four terribles. Don't make notes, don't ask questions, don't speak, and don't translate. And then he found the fifth one.
mm-hmm,
It's don't analyze the language, even if you're not asking anything, if you're
mm,
not speaking, even if you're not studying anything. But if in your head you are a linguist like him and you're just all the time questioning yourself in your head,
mm-hmm,
or noticing things like grammar points, like analyzing too much, then it's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
It's not gonna happen. So
I see.
this is what happened to him, because he, as a professional linguist, through his life, um, he just could not. He could not help but analyzing.
Um, yeah, I knew early on from my own experience that maybe I knew inherently I shouldn't try to do that. It's impossible not to sometimes, but um, even today when I'm listening to Russian speakers, and yeah, I know a word, I know the meaning of the word, and I hear it in a sentence, but I don't try to, figure it out. Right.
Mhm.
I know the benefit is, yeah, will come eventually if I just don't do anything, just
Mhm.
hear the word. Yeah, it's hard to, yeah, adhere to that. It's hard
Right.
to do it. I mean, I guess, in a perfect world, uh, yeah, if I could be with a group of people, Russian speakers, and I could be there every day, and they were going about their lives and doing things, yeah, it would be more advanced. It would be quicker. We don't have that opportunity, right? That kind of opportunity. So
We can try.
yeah,
I mean, we can try to make it online. This is not
yeah.
exactly that real, but we
Mm.
can do something similar.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good goal to try and you know
Hmm.
try
Right.
to recreate it somehow. But I think about how the children, they're all understanding certain things that their parents are saying to them. I can see it. Yeah, none of the children can speak, but they know, when uh, their mother says pashli, that they know what it means. I don't know what it means yet, but I'm familiar with it. And I'm not asking you either.
Nice. I'm not
You
telling you.
Good. So
Mm.
I'll tell you briefly, my brother, who he was always interested in that I learned Thai and I could speak Thai. Yeah, I was like a novelty in our family. And yeah, he started listening himself to different languages. He's an attorney, he's all over, you know. He never really went through with any of it, but yeah, I told him about you and I sent him a link for your website. And yeah, he wrote to me right away. He said, "I love Ina. Yeah, I'm so she gives me so much confidence." This is just in the last 12 hours. Yeah, so I think you'll have another person joining here.
Thank you. That's really flattering. Um, okay. Could you please tell me more about how it went? I mean, how was the program built? Did you make like 5 days a week? How many hours a day?
Yeah, the structure was that you could sign up for as many hours as you wanted. You could take a class 1 hour a day for 5 days. You could do it for 2 or 3 hours a day, for 3 days, whatever, because people had to have some schedule, right? Maybe they were working or doing other things, teaching English. um, so yeah, he had a recommendation of, yeah, a minimum of, I think it was, I don't know, maybe 6 hours a week, or 5 or 6 hours a week. I initially signed up for like 2 hours a day for 3 days a week. Yeah,
Mhm.
later I increased it, but there were many students who were taking 8 hours a day for 5 days a week. Some people were dedicated, right away. And so, but you could do it any way you want. And there were different levels. There was level 1, level 2, level 3, and so forth. And then even after that, it got into, other more, I guess, a subject-based course, right? So there
But
were a lot of,
this was for the advanced level, right? Like
yeah, that's right.
subject course, just like if you were attending Thai school, like you would have geography, history, Thai geography,
No, I
or
don't mean
something
that
like that.
kind of subject. No, not that
Oh,
kind of subject. Like a life subject, like
hmm.
um, you know, let me think what they were. Maybe it was traveling, or maybe it was
Hmm.
the market, or something somewhat specific, right? That they
Hmm.
would concentrate on. Um, the teachers who we did some field trips. Sometimes we would go to the market. Sometimes we would get together for a social outing, and we would, rent a boat, like a river boat, and the students and teachers would go for an evening, um, like that. It wasn't like a classroom setting, but it was some way to, introduce other,
Nice.
um, some other language input into the thing. Yeah, because it gets boring sitting in
Well,
a
yeah.
classroom.
And this is the best, I think. This is really great. Especially that this way you get experiences. And
Hmm.
this is very, very important that you acquire a language while you're getting an experience of it.
Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, I used to in Thailand. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in the markets, let's say, and I could observe the market sellers, talking and having conversation. My only participation was asking, how much is it, right? And as a result of that, yeah, maybe I'd get a little bit more out of it. They say, well, it's 50 baht a kilo, but this over here is this, or and slowly I could expand on some things, and then just eventually, yeah, observing people while they were
Mhm.
interacting with each other. Uh, yeah, it was really helpful. Again, in like a small incremental way,
Mhm.
but and I've done that, with Russian speakers as well. Uh, you know, yeah, watched and listened to people, and again, it's hard not to analyze, like you were talking about, right? So, um, and I know the danger of that, if you will. So, yeah,
Right.
I like
Hmm.
I like
Hmm.
to listen.
But
Mhm.
what were you doing in the class then? What was happening during the
Well,
day?
yeah, in the class during the day, like I said, we had the benefit. We had three people speaking to us,
Oh,
and they
three.
were speaking to each other also. So, yeah, there was a lot of motions and emotions, and sometimes, not a lot, they would use props, right? If they were talking about something in particular. Um, or sometimes they would use the whiteboard, but mostly they avoided that, and I guess that
Mhm.
was like on that, but they had to make it, you know, somewhat interesting at times. So they would use props, or they would, yeah, they'd be moving around, and trying to show, unconsciously what they were doing or what they were talking about. Um, yeah, but there was a lot of emotion. Like when you did the Three Bears, right? Yeah, you were showing emotion uh, some of the time. And yeah, it's very helpful because we only have so much to draw on, right? So I think that's a good way to. Yeah, I haven't watched all of your videos, and I don't know if there's actually a progression. Should I be watching them in some order, or should I just start at the beginning and
Well,
Um,
according to the method, you should
mhm.
understand quite a lot. That's how you would progress the fastest. Um, Quite a lot, meaning 70%, from 70 to 90% is great. So yeah,
I see.
if the video is too easy or too hard for you, you just choose another video from
Yeah, yeah,
another
no.
playlist. So on my channel, you have playlists for the beginners, for intermediate. Okay, I want to go get back to the classroom of AUA
Oh
School.
yeah, yes.
So you did not do any notes, right?
No,
You did not use any textbooks. Textbooks. You did not
never.
like make any dialogues. You did not ask any questions.
No, I didn't.
You didn't use any dictionaries, any kind of translations, looking up
No.
words.
Mm-mm.
Did you have any vocabulary lists coming from the school?
I did not. They did have some handouts. I don't remember exactly what they were, but
Mm-hmm.
and they had some audio recordings too. In fact, the teachers allowed us to make audio recordings of their presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, like I said, yeah, Dr. Brown, he was there, right? And he used to come to the class. So yeah, all those things, questions and homework or yeah, it was he didn't want it,
Was not
right?
allowed.
So everybody was aware of it, the teachers
Mm-hmm.
and the students. Yeah, it didn't stop some of the students still from, trying to take notes or do things. But yeah, me personally, I didn't do any of those things. I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know,
I'm
I tried to
asking just
follow his
uh,
rules.
I'm asking just because there is an interesting thing that I noticed. So I was reading this book, which is the autobiography, which was
Hmm.
written in 2003, I guess, or published in 2003, and it was the summary of all the method, lifetime.
Mm,
And also there is a book which is called The Listening Approach, applying Stephen Krashen's hypothesis or natural approach. I don't know. So the listening approach was written in 1988. And there is an interesting detail that in the listening approach of 1988, David Brown says that he gave some vocabulary lists to the students. He thought, well, a little bit of vocabulary will not harm the process.
hmm.
Apparently, just a little bit. Well, this will help understanding from the very beginning, like just to introduce new students to the language. So he would give the vocabulary list with transcriptions or just write on the whiteboard um, to introduce new words. But an interesting thing is that in the autobiography book, he then said that, well, actually, I tried doing this and that, and I was always asking myself, what do we do with vocabulary? What do we do with it? Should we give them the list? Should we give them transcriptions? Should they learn some basic vocabulary to start, to have something to start with? And the conclusion he made in the end, we don't do anything. We do nothing, absolutely nothing. Just no lists, no transcriptions, no translations, nothing. So this is just for those who maybe will watch and think, should I do this? Should I do that? Nowadays, there are several alternative methods that also emphasize the importance of language input, the importance of listening, but still they suggest that you should learn some vocabulary before you immerse in the language. Just to start with, you maybe should learn a little bit of grammar just to have something to start with, so that you can understand better. Yeah, that's why I asked. That was interesting if you caught that moment when Dr. Brown was doing that or not.
No, he wasn't doing that, and at least not when I was there. And he was, he was convinced, again, from his own personal experience of studying Thai, that it wasn't the right way. And if you want to be fluent and if you want to be, understood and speak correctly, that you shouldn't do any of those things. You mentioned autobiography. Are you talking about Dr. Brown's autobiography?
Dr. Brown's
He
autobiography
wrote it?
from the outside in, right?
Okay.
Yes, from the outside in.
Mhm.
I can give you the link. The whole book is online.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. I'm interested. I never forgot him, and because I gained a great benefit from his knowledge and everything. And I'll tell you one more quick story about him. He told me that when he was coming up with the concept of the natural approach and just listening, he convinced some missionary group in America to send him some missionaries. There were a lot of missionaries in Thailand, and he convinced the group to send him a couple of missionaries, and that he would put them through his program. And he did. He got some missionaries, and they spent a whole year subsequently, and they were doing 8 hours a day. His goal was like 2,080 hours or something like that. And so these missionary students, they listened to him. They didn't ask any questions. They didn't study. They didn't speak. They didn't do anything. And he said, like, after 2,000 hours, and they went out to do their missionary work. They spoke perfectly.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So you had how many? 700 hours, you
I
said?
think about 700.
So it's not that much, but
No.
I mean, comparing to the end point that Dr. Brown pictured usually for his students to reach fluency, 700 is just halfway, but I think you need to add to that all the exposure to the language, living with your Thai wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
family. So this makes it much more through the years. And
Yeah.
Did you use Thai at home
No,
with her?
no, I didn't. She didn't like me speaking Thai. So
Oh,
I
why
just,
so?
yeah, I don't know. Some people are like they are, right? So she didn't ever want to teach me Thai. And, so, but she spoke Thai all the time. And yeah, I just used that as my own personal, you know, reservoir for language.
How is your level of Thai right now? How can you describe it? Oh, maybe you can speak to me some Thai.
Yeah, I want to speak Thai, and I'm thinking in Russian.
Ah, yeah, that happens all the
Yeah.
time.
uh, oh, I can't remember how to say I. Putai dai. Putai เดนไม่เยอะนะพูดไทยสำหรับใช้ได้สื่อของหรือถามคนคุยได้แต่ไม่เยอะนะ So I'm saying, yeah, I can speak Thai, but not a lot. I can speak enough to get by, right?
Mhm.
So, but getting back to, uh, yeah, my exposure to, uh, I probably spent 5 years altogether in Thailand, right? Initially I was there 1 month. I came back for 3 months, then 7 months one time, and then other times for many months. So I added it all up one time, and it was about 5 years. So
Mhm, mhm.
after my initial 700 hours, I had enough of a basis to, yeah, be able to navigate and be able to, understand people. So, yeah, those subsequent years, being in that society or around people who were speaking Thai, not all of the 5 years were around Thai speakers exclusively, but a lot of it was.
So your level of comprehension is apparently quite high, right? How would you describe it?
Yeah, I would describe it high on a basic level, right?
Daily
So,
life.
yeah, daily life. I'm not talking politics or sports or, you know,
Mm,
anything
right.
like that. But
Mm,
if I listen to the Thai radio, a commentary on things, yeah, I really can't get that much of it because, yeah, they're using words that it's a, it's about a particular subject, and yeah, I'm not,
mhm.
yeah, I'm not schooled in particular areas. Daily
Right.
life, yeah, I have a pretty high, grasp on it, and
Mhm,
and that's really all I ever needed, right?
mhm,
Just to know enough to to get by. And I've been to enough doctors or hospitals that, yeah, I can even communicate somewhat about my own body and, say some things that I need to. Um, yeah, that's happened before when I
mhm.
was in Thailand. But, I never bothered to learn the alphabet. I never tried to write. A lot of people were doing that, trying to write and understand the alphabet. I knew I wasn't going to read the newspaper, and I wasn't going to be writing letters to someone in Thai. So I didn't see any value in that.
Yeah, your level of comprehension could be described like enough for daily life. Your speaking is
Mhm.
mm, very, very basic, like elementary, right? Can you hold conversations?
Yeah, I can hold a conversation if the subject matter is, again, about daily life, you know.
Mhm.
how you're feeling, what are you eating, or where are you going, or, just general things like that.
But I have another question,
Yeah.
and I want to compare your answer with my own experience,
Hmm.
because I have quite similar experience in French because I never had to learn French. My husband is French, my daughter is half French, and I I didn't have it as a goal, so I didn't really care. I
Hmm.
knew, well, of course, eventually I should speak some French because, well, the family, but I had no pressure and no one forced me to do so. So I picked it up. As I like to say, just French happened to me. I didn't do anything for
Right.
that. I didn't put anything in that except just time listening to people talking around me. Um, and I have similar results now. Just like as you're saying, I can understand a lot of daily conversation. Like daily speech is okay for me.
Right.
Um, but if I need to speak, um, it's very interesting because apparently I was just on the level to start speaking when speaking started emerging, but
Hmm.
I didn't have time really to develop it because just like as listening ability grows like this, well, speaking
Hmm.
ability also grows like this, but later, like really later.
I see.
So I guess that my comprehension ability grew somewhere. I don't know exactly where,
Hmm.
like maybe halfway, and my speaking ability just started growing. But then I stopped. Well, we stopped going to France with COVID, and after
Yeah.
2019, I was not in France ever. And my husband spoke French to my daughter just less and less every year because
Yeah.
he's so much familiar with Russian that he just forgets to switch.
Of
Um,
course.
like sometimes he speaks French to her, but recently I noticed that it's more and more Russian and Russian. So
Hmm.
French is kind of disappearing from my life.
Yeah.
um, and so that I didn't have really lots of situations to develop my speaking. So I kind of feel more or less at the same level as you. If they ask me, I can answer. But my answer will
Hmm.
be very short, simple, um, and yeah. Like if they force me to speak, as I had a situation last year at the interview in the embassy to get my documents,
Hmm.
I had to speak for about an hour, and they forced me to speak, and I could make up some sentences, but that was not that natural. Like.
Right.
mm, Instead, when I was really immersed in the language, and that period of time when there was a lot of French in my life, it was better because French was always in my head, and words would pop up, and I would just automatically say something.
Hmm.
Easier. Mm, right now, just to find the right place, to flash the right place in my memory for some French word takes more time. But what I notice is that some words still pop up in my head just for no reason. I'm not calling for them, and this is so natural, so strange
Yeah.
that mm, this this is a very interesting feeling. Like I don't have this with English. English never
Hmm.
does this. Never pops up in my head like this. It's a very different feeling. So that's what I wanted to ask you. Not about, because I already asked you what are your results, like how much you can understand. how much you can speak. But what is the quality of that understanding? And what is the quality of that speaking? How does it feel? What is the experience? How can you describe that? Does it differ somehow from... By the way, did you study other languages with traditional method or not? Do you have something to compare with?
Yeah, French.
French?
I studied French for a couple of years in
Mm,
college, when I was 21 years
mm,
old or something. And
mm,
yeah, you know, I was in France 3 or 4 times for short periods. Yeah,
mhm.
and I did gain, yeah, some very basic level, but no, not really. Thai was the first time I,
Mm,
happened to, get immersed or actually make a conscious effort, and then there
mhm.
was, yeah, a long period of, 20 or 30 years where, yeah, I was too busy. I was working. I didn't have time to do it. But the quality of do you mean the quality of my confidence quality or of
How does it
the
feel
Thai that I know?
knowing, yes, how does it feel understanding Thai and how does it feel speaking it?
Yeah, if my wife's speaking Thai to me, yeah, sometimes my daughter will a little bit, but she's like your daughter. Uh, my wife spoke less and less Thai to her as time went by, and as a result, yeah, I can speak Thai better than my Thai daughter, and if she doesn't like that either, right? So,
Oh,
but yeah, but anyway, um, yeah, I mean the quality. How do I feel about it? I don't even think about it. When I'm in Thailand and a person's speaking Thai to me, it's just natural. I don't understand quality. Mm. I mean,
do you
and when
have
I
to
can,
think? Do you have to think when you speak?
no, if no, I don't have to think.
Hmm.
No, I don't. Yeah. If I don't know how to say something, yeah, of course I'm not going to say it, or else I'll know right away that I don't know how to say it. But the knowledge that I do have, yeah, it just happens automatically, and I don't think about it. I'm comfortable. It flows, and it's yeah, and there is a difference in the knowledge level, right? The things that I know, either when I'm speaking or I'm spoken to, it just happens, right? If I have to try to construct, a sentence with vocabulary that I'm not familiar with, yeah, I can do it if I take my time, but it's uncomfortable. It's a struggle, right?
Mhm.
But
Of course.
whatever level of knowledge that I have, that's like inherently in my brain, yeah, it just comes out and it flows. So,
Mhm.
you know, I mean,
Yes, I
yeah,
understand totally because, well, I think I feel the same with French that maybe it's like a baby level.
mhm,
Like when you you can say very little, but you say it really naturally. It just
right.
goes. You don't think. You have the small quantity, but it's there forever, and it's very
Yeah.
easy to get. Mhm.
When, if I'm talking about food or, going somewhere, yeah, it's perfect. It's,
Mhm.
yeah, and I have a big vocabulary about food too. I can tell people what I want and what I like. Yeah.
Great. Hmm.
I haven't been able to discuss. this subject, in my experience, with anybody that really understood, what
Mhm.
I was talking about, or, what I experienced. So, yeah, I'm really happy that we were able to, yeah, somehow meet.
If you join some of my speaking sessions,
Hmm.
listening sessions, I mean, um, that would be even more interesting for me to have a student like that, to have an experienced student like that, because
Mm,
most of my students, even if they know about the method, it's the first time they're trying it, and even if they understand all the theory and they really want to make it right, they still haven't got through that experience. They don't know what awaits them.
mm,
And so, and of course, they didn't have any experience of going to a real ALG school, natural
right.
approach school, as you called it. And I would really like to know your comparison of your experience in the real school and the experience online with me.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so that if you would have some feeling, some advice, like, oh, you know what?
Hmm.
When I was in the UA, I felt this, and they would do that, and you are doing it differently, or maybe worse, or maybe
Hmm.
better. I
I
don't know.
understand. Yeah.
So that kind of feedback would be gold.
Yeah,
So
no, I,
yeah, I'm really,
yeah.
really interested in that as well as a teacher.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, how I feel right now is, yeah, I'm learning very slowly, but yeah, recently I've gained a little bit of confidence, that it's going to work again for me, a second time, and I don't have any desire to like go out speaking to people or anything like that. But I do feel confident and good that someday, yeah, I will be able to understand people, and yeah, I'll be able to speak as well. So, that's something that someone in a traditional learning environment, yeah, they don't get that knowledge, or confidence, right? Because it's so hard. It's a struggle, trying to
Mm.
go through those repetitions and memorization and all that stuff. I don't have to worry about that.
That was another question. And it fits this moment actually, um, about the hesitation, because
Hmm.
lots of people just hesitate. Will it work? Will it
Hmm.
actually work? Um, and you are so happy when you're saying, "Oh, I know that one day that it will happen." And for some people, that day, when you say one day, is so far. It seems that it's so far.
Yeah.
Like, oh, 1,000 hours. Oh, 2,000 hours. Oh my God. It's like it's never going to happen. It's too far away. Um, and well, that's how does it happen to you? Like, I mean, how would you explain this to other people so that they come down and just
Yeah.
stop
I mean, listen, I only am going by my personal experience. It's not, I don't think it's explainable, right?
Mm,
I don't think you can, like, the person, the individual has to go through go through it and gain the experience themselves, right? I was fortunate that I did that, and I didn't do it, um, in a setting where it could have happened faster or better
mm,
or anything. It was the way that it happened for me, right? All I know is that it worked, and
mm.
I understand, it is, and I have confidence that the future will be, just the same for me. If I'm able to continue, however, long it takes. But for like a current student just starting out, yeah, I mean, listen, we're like a microcosm of learners, right? I mean, people don't even understand the theory. So yeah, but maybe yeah, you'll be explaining it to people for some time to come.
I hope that our conversation can help people understand
Yeah.
something. At least have a little enlightening on how it happens to other people, and have a little bit more trust, because there is not much data
Mm-mm.
on this method. Well, only Dr. Brown, and actually.
Mm.
When I read the book, I came across the numbers. I thought, well, that's a lot of students, actually. 5,000 students, 10
Mm-hmm.
years of practice. He has his conclusions. He has his stories of success, and those people are here. You're one of them. David
Mm.
Long is another one, and he did it way longer. So um, it really depends on how much you do it, and you can see the results. So sorry, I can talk like for for hours about
I
it.
know.
I'll let you go.
I, all right. Nice
Mm.
talking to you, Ina.
Yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for your time. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.